Hello, and welcome to this month's episode of Hempfield Happenings. I'm your host, Megan Seaman. During the next 30 minutes, we will be looking into what happens when your Broadway show gets put on hold, creative ways both teachers and students have been handling the recent pandemic, as well as a rise in an online culture. Stick around for all this and more on this month's episode of Hempfield Happenings. Just like last month, many areas in Pennsylvania are still under a stay-at-home order. Here at Hempfield Happenings, we continue to obey these guidelines, and all content you see today was created with these safety measures in mind. We want to encourage all those watching to do the same. Most people can name an event that they were looking forward to that has been canceled by the recent pandemic. Laura Claire Walker spoke, from 6 feet away, to a Lancaster County teen who is experiencing this effect.
CDC guidelines and stay-at-home orders have caused big changes in spring and summer events, from graduations to vacations and everything in between. Even the lights of Broadway have gone dark. And for Max Bartos, a 17-year-old Lancaster native, this season was set to be an especially exciting one.
I am part of the original Broadway cast of Sing Street on Broadway at the Lyceum Theater. We did a August workshop, and we did a off-Broadway run at New York Theater Workshop, and then it was announced that we would transfer to Broadway.
A transfer that never got to happen.
We were told on stage at the Lyceum that we were being shut down for a little bit. But I agree with the decision and everything because I don't want to infect anyone or anyone that comes to see the show to be infected.
Even still, Max and his dad describe how they felt that day.
Sad.
It was a mixture of fear, frustration, confusion, and I sort of got past all that. And now I've just sort of been it's gonna happen.
And with that in mind, those involved with Sing Street have been hard at work.
Max has not only been doing video calls and keeping contact with the cast and the creatives, but then through that process, they were rehearsing every day.
They even got to perform to benefit charities fighting COVID-19.
Well, we just did a live stream event on Facebook Live, and we actually raised over $300,000 in one night, which was crazy to hear.
But it hasn't been all work for Max.
But no, I get to be home, I get to see my family, I get to sort of live life like a normal teenager again.
And he's been doing just that.
I've been watching a lot of TV.
For a family who had been split between two states for most of the fall and winter, they've been doing what most families have been.
Other than finding witty, sarcastic things to dig at each other about, we take a lot more walks. We try to, we actually have meals together.
Of course, Max wishes he could be in New York doing what he loves.
And I miss seeing the set, and I miss playing with everybody, and yeah, that's sort of it.
Mr. Bartos can see some silver linings to this time at home, however.
It makes me both sad for what could have been, since the show would have been open for a couple of weeks already, but also really excited when the world resets and we get the show up and running, hopefully this fall. Really exciting I think it'll be an even bigger experience and bigger opening for everyone.
But the show lives on, even from home.
Sing Street's never dead in our minds. It's always there.
If you want to experience Sing Street from home, you can download the newly released cast album. And keep an eye out for news about when they will be reopening. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Laura Claire.
With the recent state allowance of hiking, as long as proper precautions are taken, many people are choosing to spend time outdoors. Larissa Schaefer decided to get some fresh air and find some interesting hiking trails within the area.
Lancaster County has over 80 public walkways. Several outdoor trails near the Hempfield area are the Farmingdale Trail, Grub Lake, Chickies Rock, the Lancaster Junction Recreation Trail, the Northwest Lancaster County River, and the Turkey Hill Trail. To find these trails, you can look them up on the web or get the app TrailLink, which can show you these trails and more that are near you, how long they are, and the reviews.
So trails are really great. They get you out of the house since we're all quarantined, and we burn some calories and you stay active and stay young.
Not only does going out in nature get you out of the house, but it also has some health benefits. According to the Better Health Channel, walking can improve high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and joint and muscular pain or stiffness. So whether you are going for a run, a simple walk with your family, or a bike ride, make sure you are staying safe, healthy, and getting out to enjoy nature. From Hempfield Happenings, I'm Larissa Schaefer.
Libraries all across the nation have been shut down due to COVID-19. However, many people's passion for reading has not been. Ava Campbell read into how a love of books has recently brought one community together.
During quarantine, many public businesses have closed, public libraries included.
Amanda Group and Hannah Johnson have taken it into their own hands to create neighborhood libraries.
Obviously, we're both home from college for quarantine. I was going through my room trying to get rid of some things. I found a box of old books that I guess would have been from like when I was in elementary school or middle school. And I was thinking about, how myself, I kind of wanted to be able to go to a library and be able to get a book so I could read during quarantine since there's not a lot to do. But obviously all the public libraries are closed. I definitely wanted to do it because I remember when my sisters and I were younger, that was something we really looked forward to in the summer, was going to the library. These kids are going to be stuck at home. They can't do anything. But on top of that, they can't read. So that's kind of where the idea came from.
Hannah Johnson even built her own mini library in her neighborhood.
But we started building it, and we originally looked up different blueprints and plans to build it, and my dad's like, we'll just build it from scratch, we'll figure it out. And so thankfully he had a lot of spare wood, so we didn't really have to go to Home Depot. But my dad was really excited about also including like adult books, teen books, things like that, so everyone in the neighborhood could be involved. It was designed to be for our neighborhood, and that's why I called it the Grand Oak Library. And I go out and check probably like once or twice every 2 days or something like that. And I see new books almost every time, which is so exciting.
Hannah has received lots of positive feedback from her neighbors.
So I sent out an email to our whole neighborhood just to let them know that everyone was open to it, and it wasn't just for little kids. And people were really excited. They're like, oh, can I drop off books? When can I do it? All these different things.
Because of COVID-19, Amanda and Hannah's top priority was being safe.
Obviously, there's the concern of spreading the virus around more, by having this anything communal is a concern for that. So I was talking about how, we need to make sure we have something separate. So if people drop the books off, that we can, then wipe them down or let them sit for 24 hours or something like that.
So we have a cooler right next to our library. So we ask people, don't put the books directly in the library. They put them in the cooler for a little bit. And then even if 24 hours hasn't passed, or even if it has, I'll take them out and wipe them down and then put them in the library.
Yeah.
And I also ask when people go and look at books, because sometimes you pick up a book and end up not wanting to read it.
Yeah.
They take the wipe and they wipe it down. So I have a little sign on the library for that too.
This is a better time than ever to try new things or practice a new skill.
Like during this time, everyone's kind of willing to learn different things. So I think, not only are you helping the community, but you're also learning another skill. Like I have all these books in my attic. They're sitting up there collecting dust, doing nothing. Mm-hmm. It's better to do something with them than just let them sit there.
And I think too, like even beyond books, I think this is such a good time to go through stuff that you really, like anything that you really don't need, put them in trash bags and donate.
If you have the supplies, maybe you should consider starting your own neighborhood library. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Ava Campbell.
The recent pandemic has restricted many school activities in the area. Gunner Maine investigates how one school tradition right here at Hempfield has been finding a way to continue.
As we all know, COVID-19 has closed all schools in Pennsylvania, But this doesn't stop Landisville Middle School and Centerville Middle School from doing a tradition they've been doing for years.
And that tradition is the Student of the Quarter Assembly.
To describe our Student of the Quarter assemblies, we hold them 4 times a year at the end of each quarter, and we use them to recognize students for a number of great things and accomplishments. Those students are selected based on their demonstration of being safe, responsible, respectful, and engaged in their learning, which are our 4 core values at LMS.
Selection as Student of the Quarter is one of the highest honors that can be attributed to a student during the school year. 2 to 3 students from each team are chosen for this significant distinction.
Since no one was in school, the teachers and staff put on a virtual assembly to show the students their merit has not gone unnoticed.
Well, we felt it was important for us to continue to recognize the good works of our students, even in the virtual environment.
Team leaders and teachers created videos while home during the coronavirus pandemic.
We had many teachers record themselves for the first time, pre-record their celebrations. They sent them to me. And then we combined all those videos together into one movie, and we posted it to YouTube.
Looks like these schools won't let a virus stop them from recognizing students who deserve this honor.
And for Hempfield Happenings, I'm Gunnar Main.
Hempfield Happenings isn't the only school news source finding ways to continue. Xander Hughes looked into how Landisville Primary Center has been ensuring that its students get their daily dose of information.
School today? Oh, I'm just kidding, boys and girls. I hope you're all up and
With the novel coronavirus shutting down schools across the state of PA, many teachers and staff have thought of unique ways in order to connect to their students. A perfect example is the principal at the Landisville Primary Center.
Yeah, my name's Ron Swantner, building principal at the Primary Center. This is my 26th year in Landisville, all 26 years in Landisville. Actually student taught at Farmdale Elementary School when I was at E-Town College, and been fortunate enough to spend 26 years in Landisville. We get a chance to change the world through each and every student every day. I got into the role of teaching 26 years ago to have that impact on a classroom of students.
As you can see, Mr. Swatner cares about his students along with the rest of Hempfield. That is why he started his daily morning and afternoon announcements.
community. This is Mr. Swantner with your fun Friday morning message. Let's start off with our happy birthday wishes. Today, we celebrate Miss McNeilis from LPC.
Many other teachers and staff have joined in on the announcements as well.
Everybody.
Hey boys and girls, Mr. C here. I hope everyone's doing well and being safe.
Happy. Welcome to Vigna Field. Today, we want to wish a happy birthday.
We're also celebrating National Teacher Day today, and I would like to thank all of the teachers and all of the staff.
His announcements have been well received by his students, and he says anybody can make their own.
I'm still working on the greater scale and how to transfer it over, but using your phone, making a video message, the Schoology platform that Hempfield has adopted allows the kids to go into Schoology and click on the microphone and make their own little videos. I am amazed and impressed with what our first and second graders send me. Their messages are inspiring and motivating. That's what brings joy to me and makes me smile, seeing the way they use technology. So we can all learn. We can all learn from each other, and it just takes a 2-minute video to pass along a message and then to get it to the right channels. And as long as we're all passing that positive message, one of my messages was that tough times require tough people, and we're tougher than this, and we'll get through it just by being respectful and staying safe.
At the end of every morning and afternoon announcement, Mr. Swatner encourages his students to be safe, be responsible, and to have each other's back. From Hempfield Happenings, I'm Xander Hughes.
Depending on their age level, students all across the country have been experiencing various approaches to online learning. Eleanor Deeg found some sources close to home to find out how students of every age have been learning over the past couple of months.
While life has changed for everyone during this time, it's clear to see that the biggest change for students and teachers here at Hempfield has been making the switch from in-class instruction to online learning. While Hempfield's new policy for online learning and grading is the same throughout the district, the way that the students are learning is different in elementary, middle, and high school.
Is there a need for angle teachers?
At the primary level, elementary teachers have been doing their best to keep school relatively structured. While teachers are doing their best to keep normalcy in education, there are some things that just cannot be the same.
I don't really like online learning.
I like in-school learning better because we can get
Help.
On their own, elementary schoolers still have projects and assignments to complete. This can be done by annotating on cabinet, watching videos on Edgenuity, or using a new program called Odysseyware.
United States. This secession led the Civil War.
At the middle school level, every class has switched over to a program called Ingenuity. This program allows the students to listen and watch instructors teach and explain concepts, and then has the students complete quizzes and worksheets about the videos. Similar to elementary schoolers, there are just some things in middle school that can't be replaced.
In school, you get to be in a classroom where their environment's better. You can learn. You can ask teachers easier questions right there and then. Because you can't be in a classroom with your friends.
At the high school level, online learning is much more lenient and flexible compared to the elementary and middle schools. Teachers post daily assignments, and while some may have specific due dates, most are simply due at the end of the week. Many teachers have also created a must-complete section of work as well as an optional section. This allows students to do some extra practice if they would like. It seems that no matter what grade you're in, everyone has the same thought. They want to go back to school.
I miss school so much. School was way better than online learning. I got to see my friends and teachers.
With no one sure of what comes next, both teachers and students alike are taking the rest of the school year day by day to continue to learn, teach, and educate. From Hempfield Happenings, I'm Eleanor Degg.
Many essential employees travel back and forth to work every day despite the pandemic. Ben Weaver got the inside scoop of what it's really like to be a worker on the front lines.
Well, we here at Hempfield Happenings have been staying safe at home. Some people, such as frontline workers, don't have that luxury.
I work for a local hospital, and I am contracted out to perform phlebotomy lab services and outside retirement communities and extended living facilities.
She also details how her interactions with patients have changed due to new safety precautions.
Well, we have to be a lot more aware of what protective gear we're wearing. As you've heard on the news, there's quite a shortage on protective gear. Depending on the level of care the patient needs, a lot of times for every patient, we will need a gown, a mask, and goggles at the very least. So there's so many sick patients, that's a lot of masks, and we're in a desperate shortage. We also have to wear masks all the time inside the facilities like everybody else does when they're at the store. So it's a matter of taking off the protective gear when you're done with the patient, having to put another set on with the next patient just kind of takes a little bit longer.
However, even with these safety precautions, some shortcomings are difficult to work around.
Well, instead of wearing a mask and going in and taking care of our patient and then throwing that mask away, we are basically having to wear the same mask for an entire shift and then put it in a bag, and then the next day wear that same mask again. Now, if we go into a room of a COVID positive patient or someone suspected of having it, that mask we wear has to get thrown out before we can go on to our next patient.
According to the New York Times, 1/3 of all COVID-related deaths have occurred in nursing homes. Jen explains how her feelings about coronavirus has changed over time.
In the beginning, it was really scary because there was no one knew anything about this virus. We just heard what had happened in China, and we were just waiting for it to hit Lancaster, and we didn't know when, and constant changes as to what we had to wear and what we had to do. But now that we've been into it for about 2 months, it's kind of become second nature to always have the mask and have the gown, and I've been tested and I've been negative, and so I'm not as fearful as bringing it home to my family at this point.
As you can see, being a healthcare worker has changed a lot in the last 2 months, so be sure to thank them. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Ben Weaver.
Next up, Morgan Minnick explored how the World Bank has been helping low-income countries fight the effects of COVID-19.
COVID-19 has caused a massive economic downfall and has put many countries into an economic crisis. The World Bank is determined to help developing countries with the impacts of COVID-19.
The World Bank is an international financial institution that provides loans and grants to governments of low-income countries.
The World Bank's main focus is to improve healthcare, education, climate change, agriculture, mitigation, and digital developments. However, with COVID-19, the World Bank has made some new developments.
So with COVID-19, the World Bank has really gone into overdrive, and in the last 8 weeks, we've been developing and putting on the ground a number of programs in rapid response time. The first batch of programs were focused on improving and strengthening healthcare delivery systems. The second batch of programs are things like big policy reform agendas related to social protection systems, which in the United States would be welfare, or things like food stamp systems, helping governments manage their debt repayment system so that they are able to put money into health and other economic responses and not have to offset that investment for debt repayments that they have. So those are some of the areas in which we're working.
Kathleen Beagle is the lead economist with the World Bank's Gender Group. The role of the Gender Group is to cut across all the sectors that the World Bank has and ensure that they recognize the gender gap and provide equal rights for both men and women.
Part of what we do is look at our projects and the investments that we're making with our partner of low and middle income countries to say, is this going to address the gender gaps that are in place in these countries? There are also gaps in agriculture. Women have lower yields in farm productivity. They have lower access to important inputs like fertilizer and hybrid seeds. So again, we ask the question, how can we design agricultural interventions such that female farmers, who are in many countries half or more of all the smallholder farmers, so that they can equally access the investments and the resources that we're bringing to these countries. So that's what we do. We also do a lot of knowledge curation. So we look at the evidence, we look at the research related to gender gaps, and in the context of COVID, we're looking, for example, at how COVID will have different impact on men and women because men and women work in different sectors in the economy, because women have higher care burdens in terms of childcare and domestic responsibilities. So there's sort of a dual burden on women. And we look at a lot of the evidence from academia, from different institutions, to say how can that evidence inform our lending portfolio and our investments.
COVID-19 has massively affected the entire world, and the World Bank is doing everything they can to ensure that low-income countries are provided with the resources necessary to fight this virus. From Hempfield Happenings, I'm Morgan Minnick.
As many of us have been stuck at home, people are finding numerous ways to pass the time indoors. Brian Horan rolled the dice to find some of his top board game recommendations.
While being still inside and bored out of my mind, I will share 5 games that I play while still being inside. So the first game that I'm going to start off with, and sorry about the bad pun, but sorry is going to be the first game. Sorry is a family game. The objective is to get your 3 colored pawns into your home circle. But watch out, because one of those pawns that you have could be going around the board, and all of a sudden another player draws a sorry card and knocks your pawn off the board, and you have to put your pawn back into the start circle, and they put their pawn onto your pawn's original spot. So basically, in this game, you can't trust anyone. The next game that I play is Who's Most Likely To. It is another family or friend group game that you can play, and the objective is to have the least amount of cards. You want to be the person who's least likely to do something. So let me just open up this, and I'm gonna grab a card and I'm gonna read it. Be like, who's most likely to always want to play stupid card games? And most of the time it'd be me. Most of the time it would be me. So that is my second game that I like to play. The third game that I like to play is called Mad Gab. Now Mad Gab is a friend or family group game, and the objective of the game is to get as many cards as you can. The game goes like this. If I get a card that says against stuff low, I have to guess what I hear. So I will repeat in my head, against stuff low, against stuff low, against stuff low, and the answer would be against the flow, and I would get that card. My fourth favorite game to play is called Apples to Apples. The game's objective is to get as many cards as you can. The way the game goes is a green card will be drawn. It will have a category on it. It will either say, this one says irritating or smooth. I'll choose irritating. There, at the beginning of the game, you will get 7 cards. and those would be red cards, and those have your answers on them. So my answer is my family, because they're irritating. Just don't tell them. The fifth and final game that I like to play is called Quelf. Quelf's objective is to get to the finished spot in the center first. But along the way, there are different colored squares that represent different colored cards. And those different colored cards have different stuff on them, such as the blue card is a rules card, the green card is a Quizzle card, the purple and yellow cards are a stunt and showbiz card, and the red card is a scatterbrain. And enough with playing the games. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Brian Horan.
While board games are a choice for some, others want to take the experience to the next level. Ryan Webb took a virtual trip to find out how COVID-19 has been impacting the online gaming community.
Ever since the COVID-19 stay-at-home order and social distancing have become a part of our day-to-day lives, people have had to find new and creative ways to stay connected with one another, whether it be in real life or in a virtual world. These new ways of living have led to a sharp increase in the amount of people online playing video games recently.
I would say that video games definitely have kept me and my friends connected the most, because that's pretty much what we do on like a daily basis. We'll get on the computers, we'll hop on and play some games, whether it's like Minecraft, sometimes Fortnite to mess around. But overall, I just think video games have definitely impacted us a lot, and it's definitely helped us get through the quarantine for sure.
Many other people can agree. In fact, so many people are playing video games right now that some games have even broken their own records for peak amount of players online. One particular game that has broken their own record recently is Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which on March 20th had nearly 1,150,000 players online, while in 2019, the game peaked at about 600,000 players. Not only has the amount of people playing video games gone up, but the amount of people watching them has as well. Total viewership for eSports, which are the professional league of competitive video games, has also gone up, with live stream tournaments regularly pulling in thousands and thousands of concurrent viewers. Even new games, like the recently announced competitive FPS Valorant, are doing well in numbers. According to ESPN Esports, the game nearly broke the 1.73 million viewer record on Twitch.tv, one of the biggest live streaming platforms for video games, and the game is still only in beta stages. During these difficult times, it's important for us to all stick together and stay connected. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Ryan Webb.
Thank you for watching this month's episode of Hempfield Happenings. Don't forget to stay tuned for next month's episode as well. If you can't wait that long, be sure to check out our YouTube channels, HSD TV7. Stay safe, and see you in the next episode of Hempfield Happenings.